So I'm Chantal Solomon. I'm a visual artist and community herbalist here in Victoria, BC. And we are at my first show called Cast Back and Forth at the Archive Gallery. And I have a studio here where I practice screen printing as well as acrylic painting. And I do a little bit of sculpture work as well. And so this show, I wanted to explore the idea of looking at the past, being present with ourselves, and looking to the future of how we want to build our communities. It has a lot to do with my cultural heritage as well. So I have a mixed race background, and so I wanted to bring some elements in from my different cultural backgrounds to relate that to how we're treating the natural world now. And we can look back culturally and say like, oh, we made these different mistakes over time, and I really have been pondering, with all of the environmental stuff that goes on in the world, how, like, if we are the future ancestors or the future generations to come, how do we want them to reflect back on this time? And do we want them to be looking back and regret and the same way we do about these different cultural genocides and things that have happened in the past, or do we want them to look back and be grateful? And I really wanted to hold space for the personal reflection in all of that, because these are big collective issues that are going on. And I think there can be pressure on the individual. I see with a lot of younger generations of people who are upset about different things that are happening in the world, but they don't know what to do and they don't know their place in it. And I just wanted to ask some deep questions about these topics and hold space for people of all ages to have some reflection, because we can get so busy in our lives, and I think it's important to take time to just sit and ponder and find some inspiration within that. So the show is kind of a journey that starts on this end and kind of goes around the room, where I have some different paintings that are kind of speaking to what I would call like the spiritual plane, or that creative place in ourselves, and exploring how we connect with that, and if we're connecting with it, and if we need to do some more work around that. And then it kind of goes around to like starting to reflect on the connection between the spiritual world and this physical world that we live in, and the kind of casting back and forth that happens with that, the communication that happens with that, and how we need to take time to be open and receptive, as well as put our intentions forward to connect with that space in ourselves. And then it kind of moves on to some asking some of the deeper questions about specific cultural elements. So there's 3 sculptures here that are all related to textiles. As a screen printer, I spent a lot of time researching and thinking about textiles, and in a way that I never would have thought about before, because I just wasn't a part of the world of textiles. But through screen printing, I started to just do research about how things were made, and realize that there was a lot of history related to textiles in our everyday cultures, from First Nations background of how people made things from scratch, to the colonization of America, and what cotton had to do with that, and slavery, and all of those things, and also how there were people who reaped the benefits of other people's labor through that. And so I related these things to the animal world and what we're going through now. And so we have this relation to the genocide of First Nations people. I was relating it to the problems that we're having with the bees right now. And yeah, just wanting to be like, hey, what can we do individually within this big problem, which is a very big question. But yeah, bees obviously help us pollinate, and they give so much, and so has the First Nation cultures. We tend to reap the benefits of those cultures the same way that we reap the benefits of the labor of the bees with their honey. And I just thought that was really an interesting connection and bridge to explore. And then here, with the painting of the aura of a cougar, this one is called Innocent Predator, and I was relating it to, in the textile world with the cotton industry, that these beautiful things got created with cotton, and still are today, these delicate and beautiful things, and people would adorn themselves with them and really kind of celebrate the labor of others, and almost like have a higher status because of the labor of others, and them being able to afford the reaping of the benefits. And so I was relating that to like how we see the cougar in our society, and also the privilege that comes with having such animals in our still on our island here. In Europe, there's a lot of deforestation and stuff that has happened where they're not seeing bears and cougars and stuff anymore. We still have that rich wildlife here, and I see, especially when I was living more up island, the kind of demonization of these animals, and people moving from the city and then calling the conservation officers, and cougars and bears getting killed because they were in their natural habitat, which humans had just kind of built houses upon. So yeah, just relating that to cotton was really interesting for me, and just the adornment of it, and the kind of privilege that comes with that, the privilege that comes with being able to say, oh, I don't like this predator being here, so I'm gonna get it killed, and the same way that the people, we could ask the question, the people who were enslaving people to have cotton grown for them and for them to reap the benefits of them, would they be considered a predator actually themselves? And then the last one here is circus bear, which has the sculpture of some actual cotton that someone gifted to me, that you can see these spikes on it with cotton. That was what would happen a lot in slavery, is they would get these really bad sores on their hands from harvesting the cotton. And so in that work that went into that, and how that has to do with African American culture, and I actually had family that were in Texas as slaves, and it's pretty far down my lineage, but at the same time, it's really had me always thinking about how African American people are represented, especially in art, but also just in their entertainment. And I was relating that to the bear, and how the circus bear, when you think of that, it's this animal that's been captive and then is here for the entertainment of humans. And I really feel in African American culture that's still that's happening today often, that people are seen as as entertainment, and there's a form of slavery that's kind of intertwined in that. And so I wanted to explore the idea of performance, where the people like who are slaves were performing tasks, but now people are performing to like entertain people. And I think it's a really interesting connection to explore for oneself, and to see how we're participating in that, how we're supporting that, and how we want that to change in the future. So all of these things with the mirrors, so rocks representing ancestors, mirrors representing time going back and forth, as well as personal reflection. So in between the photos or the paintings here, I put photos that are photo frames of mirrors that are right at my level of height, of just that representation of actually taking time to reflect on some of the questions that I proposed with the paintings. And like I said earlier, just to take the time to reflect and ask questions internally, as well as have community dialogue. So I did provide a chair here in the corner so that people could come and actually just sit and take the time to reflect. And earlier I brought out a chair for my studio, and I was just having conversations with people about some of these things, and relating that to some of the modern day struggles and the personal struggles that they're having. Just seeing how we can move forward in a good way. So that's all I have to say today. So thank you, and the show is on until December 19th, and I'll be here on Saturday and Sundays from 12 to 4, and then Thursday evenings from 5 to 6:30 I will be here.